and not only about the Pears and the McCoys, but other people related to the Pears and the McCoys, the Loftons. Your brother Frank Sullivan fits under that category. And so anyway, I think the best place to start with is to talk about your mother, because that's where, for us, the Pear and the McCoy come in. So tell us a little bit about your mother.
Well, she was born near Rutherford, Texas.
Uh-huh.
And her father was a farmer, and he worked. My father was pretty well to do, and he hired him to make a pasture fence for him. And that was when Papa first met my mother. When he went up to where my grandfather lived, my mother was torching corn, coffee, and Papa, when he walked up to the door, he thought she was such a pretty girl. She had red hair and pretty blue eyes, and so that was their first meeting.
And her name was?
Roxy Ann Pear.
Roxy Ann Pear. Actually, Nancy, Roxy, Anna Pear, by the time you find all of it.
Yes, he did have 3 names.
And the only place, by the way, that the whole thing appears in any official record is when she married your father, the Indian records. They wanted to make sure that N.R. Sullivan was the same as Roxy Ann Forsythe.
Yeah.
And her mother wrote in an affidavit that her name had been Nancy, Roxy, Anna, and of course she called her Lofton because at that time she was married not to Mr. Pear, but to Mr. Lofton, and that was in an official document. So that's the only place we know that the whole name was Nancy, Roxy, Anna, well, actually Pear. Okay, okay, that's a little bit about your mother. You say she had red hair and blue eyes. How tall was she?
Well, about, I'd say 5 feet and maybe 8 inches.
About 5'8". So she was quite a tall person.
Well, not too tall, but that was a bit more or less. I kind of forgot. But she wasn't too tall. Was a slender, made up very much like Joanne. She's taller than Joanne.
Okay. Now, she was first married to a man by the name of Sullivan.
Yes.
Can you tell me about him?
Well, he was living on a place right close to where Papa lived when she met him, and she was just very young, and after they went together a while, they got married, and she was only 14, and he was born when she was just 15. And so she never did, he wasn't mean to her or anything, but he had his mother living with him, and Mama being so young, she just didn't know how to adjust to things, you know.
What was Mr. Sullivan's full name?
Briggs, Sullivan.
Mr. Sullivan.
Oh, yes. George is all I know. George Sullivan.
George Sullivan.
And the way Frank, he moved away from Texas, and Frank didn't see him anymore for several years, and he made the remark one day at my house that he would give anything to know where his daddy was. And I was taking a magazine where people were advertising for people, you know, and I just said I believe I'd send in something and and advertise for him, see if we could locate him. Well, I got several letters from different people, but the one sounded just right to Frank. And he said, well, I'm going out there and see if that is my dad. So he did, and his uncle was running the post office there in the the little town.
What was the town, do you remember?
It was something with, it was near Odessa, Texas.
Near Odessa, Texas.
Yes.
Okay.
But I can't remember the name of it. It's a very small town.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank told him who he was when he got there. And they talked, and he said, well, your dad just lives about a mile from here. And Frank, he's just busy, or he said, I'm busy, or I'd take you out there. So Frank said, well, if it's just a mile, he just soon walk. So he was in the field picking cotton. And Frank walked up, and his father turned around and spoke to him as he come up. And Frank says, well, you wouldn't know me. He said, oh, yes, I would. You're Frank. Because he'd heard of this advertisement, you know, and was kind of thinking of him anyway. And Frank said he was married to a very nice Christian lady. And they had about 3 little girls, and was very nice people. But he said that since my father had raised him, that he thought about it a whole lot while he was there, and said he loved his father, but there's just something about my dad that he felt like he liked him better.
But both were good men.
Yeah.
Yeah, both very good men. Your brother's name was, of course, it was your half-brother, Albert Franklin Sullivan.
Yes.
Now, was he born on the 12th of December in 1883?
I have forgotten his birthday.
Because I think he was born on the 12th of December, which is my birthday.
Well,
And that's one reason that it sticks with me.
I have it, the day he died there in my Bible.
Now, he died at No Trees, did he not?
Yes.
At like a nursery?
Well, it was just a post office and a restaurant. And he died, he had gone over to a little town called Goldsmith, I believe. And he ate his breakfast that morning at a restaurant. And he said he kind of felt bad, and he got up and walked outside, and he just fell. And they carried him over to a little schoolhouse right across the street. Well, it was a road, really. And put him on a bed, and he died.
So he lived at No Trees, but he died at Goldsmith.
Yes.
I have his death certificate, by the way. I sent away and got it. And also the funeral home record.
Wow.
Someday I'll show that to you. I probably forgot to tell you I got it.
Well, I'll see.
Yeah.
That was the nicest undertaker. He certainly was nice to me. I didn't know anybody in the town, you know. But I hadn't been there very. I stayed at the Elliott Hotel. I picked out that place as I went along the freeway, you know, it seemed well advertised. And so I thought, well, that would be a nice place to go. And while I was there, the undertaker come down and talked to me. And then he told me he'd make arrangements for me to go out to where Frank, he lived in a trailer. And so Ella and Ada, Walter's wife.
Yeah, Ada Harrison, Forsythe.
Yes. They come to the mortuary while I had gone out to this place, you know, to see Frank's place. And so they come to, when I got back, they come down to the Elliott Hotel, and we all decided to all be together, you know, and we went to a motel then, because we could hit 2 places, you know. And people were, I have never met nicer people in my life. Just the minister of And those people just come out from the church, you know, for the funeral and offered me a place to stay, but I, of course, had to come on back home for December.
Well, your mother's father, let's talk about him next. A man who apparently used the name Jim, but also was named Bridge or Bridges
Yes.
Pear. What do you know about him?
Well, nothing at all, except just that he was murdered, you know. And
Tell me about that.
well, he had a distant relative. Back those days, would kind of fall out over fences. And my understanding was that they had had a quarrel over a fence, and his relative become very angry and threatened his life. So Mama said that her mother told her that one morning her father seen this man coming on a horse, and he just went out in the yard. He didn't have no gun or anything. And this fellow, since he had threatened his life, he's told that he thought Mama's father was going to kill him. And I don't know what the outcome of it is. Mama didn't remember either too much about it.
But it was a fence dispute.
Yes.
Did it go to trial?
I think so, but she was being young, you know, and she didn't tell us children too much about it.
Where did that happen? Around Weatherford?
Yeah, in Texas. Yes, I think so.
Is there anything else you know about him?
No, I don't believe there is.
Did you know that I sent and got his Civil War record?
That's what you...
Yeah, I've got it. Okay, now, of course, his wife would be Sarah Jane McCoy, your grandmother Lofton.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about grandmother Lofton.
Well, I don't remember a lot about her. She used to come almost every summer up to where we lived and stay with us a month at a time sometimes. And she was just a little woman, very small, I can remember that. And she was always seemed like kind of restless, and she's very precise and wanted us kids to look just so, and we didn't. And we was used to playing and running.
I didn't want to butt in on the conversation. I started to come by and say hi to young Mrs. Collins. I used to take care of her.
Oh,
And
let me turn off the camera.
no, that's okay. I just want to say hi, and we did have prayer for your daughter that has the cancer.
Well, thank
so
you.
let's praise God in that. He answers our prayers.
Well, thank you
I
very
didn't want to butt in. I should have butt in on your conversation that way.
Well,
Oh, that's fine. We're filming, we're videotaping, talking about her life history and her ancestors.
Oh, I bet I butt in on that, didn't I?
No.
No, you didn't. We're always happy to see people.
Well, I've been with her for a long time, bless her heart. She's a precious lady. Take good care of her.
She sure is.
Well,
Thank you so
very
much.
much.
Yes, you are precious.
Well, thank you.
And you know we love you.
Yes, I love my family. That's been my life.
Getting back to this, we were talking about grandmother Lofton. Tell us about the gloves.
Oh, well, she, like I said, she wanted us children to look just so, you know. We used to run around bareheaded and no gloves on, you know, and she decided that she was going to make us all some gloves. And also to...
Was there bonnets also?
Bonnets, yes. And she saw to it that we wore them, too. And we was almost glad when she went home. So we wouldn't have to wear them bonnets and gloves.
Tell us about the buttermilk.
I learned to appreciate it later in life, but at that time we were too young to understand.
Tell us about the buttermilk.
Yes, she said that if we had, some of us had freckles, and she said if we put buttermilk on our faces, you know, that it would make the freckles dimmer, so we did it. I can't say that it helped freckles, but we did it.
Yeah, you did do it. Yeah.
She was a very kind, friendly old lady.
Mm-hmm. Had Mr. Lofton already passed away at that time, or was?
Oh yes, she was living with her children, especially with Johnny and Bill was the two boys.
Mm-hmm.
Her oldest boy, Roland Lofton, had married
Mm-hmm.
and didn't live at home.
Okay, in a minute we'll talk about each one of them too. But let's go back to Grandmother Lofton for a minute. Sarah Jane McCoy, Grandmother Lofton. What else? You said she was short. How short? Was she about 5 feet or?
Yes, about 5. I'd say she's about 5 feet and 4 inches.
Mm-hmm.
She's very low and very slender.
Quite slender.
Yeah.
What color was her hair?
Well, it was snowy white when I remember her.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what color it had been when she was younger?
I have an idea it'd been red.
Red, like your mother.
I like Mama.
Uh-huh. What about her eyes?
She had pretty blue eyes.
Blue eyes.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard about them being, the Pears and the McCoys being Scotch and Irish, but I don't know which was which. So can you clarify that for me?
Well, her grandfather was Scotch, and her grandmother was Irish.
Mm-hmm.
The McCoy family.
McCoys were Irish and the Pears were Scotch. What about Grandmother Lofton's parents? You talked to me just a little bit about them at one time. What do you remember about the McCoys? What kind of country did they live in?
Well, they lived in Kentucky, it seems to me like.
Mm-hmm.
Best I remember. And I read more about them than I...
Than you remember?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. You talked about one time they lived in heavily timbered country.
Yes.
And
there was animals there, and they was afraid for the children to go out in the woods, you know, without a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So they bought Mama a dog, and his name was Cap.
Cap?
She always called him Cap.
Uh-huh.
And she said he protected her too. When they'd go out where there was anything, any animal, and where he'd bark, growl, you know. So when later years, we had a little dog and we named it Cap. And she trained it to go get the cows and bring them in, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it would go late of evening and get up on the dugout. And it would, you see it turn its head and to listen for the bell, you know. And off it would go through the woods, you know, to bring in the cat, milk cat.
Well, that's interesting. What did they have in their, was it their attic? You told the McCoys. You told me one time that they had built, was it coffins that they had built?
Oh yes, my grandfather made his and grandmother's coffins and kept them up in the loft. Mama said she'd gone up there many times and seen them as a child. You know. He was a very thrifty man and raised all kinds of vegetables. And I remember one thing I always thought was odd. In the late fall, they found a watermelon vine, and it had great big nice watermelons. And Grandfather dug a hole under the haystack and put that watermelon in that damp like sand, and they had watermelon for Christmas.
I'll be darned.
And she said that he was a great hand to save everything they had raised, you know.
Yeah, is this Mr. Lofton we're talking about, or
no,
is this the McCoys?
It was on the McCoys.
The McCoys. So that would be George and Francis is who we're talking about.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Your grandmother Lofton's parents? Yeah, that'd be George W. and Francis McCoy.
Wow.
And I found out just recently a whole bunch more about them, by the way. They moved down into Bandera County, Texas, after they lived up around Erath and Bosque County and
yes.
Oh, they lived in Hood and Somerville.
I heard Mama speak of Hood County.
And Meridian. They lived in that area about I'd say about 40 miles north of Weatherford. Yeah, about 40 miles north of Weatherford. And just later in life, they moved down to Bandera County with their youngest daughter, Lucy McCoy, who was born in 1862. She had married a cook, a William Cook, and they both died down there.
I don't know what that is.
Have you ever heard of Lucy McCoy?
Yes, and I don't know for sure that she was the one that Mama told me about. They had a kind of a rash, and she put some sulfur and something on her body, you know, and went in swimming, and it killed her. The doctor said they'd never seen anything like it. Just looked like she'd been burned. And they'd have to turn her with a sheet. And they called in several doctors, and they said that it was that caused the pores of the skin to close up, you know, and that's why it looked like a burn. And she just lived a few days.
But you don't know if that's Lucy or another
I'm not
sister?
sure that it's the Lucy you're speaking of, but it was someone way back those days. And,
That's too bad. Do you know where that particular thing occurred?
no, I don't. Now, Papa knew about that. I heard him tell it. So it must have been after Mama and Papa. And Papa's daughters, you know, used to, they have creeks where they'd go in swimming.
Sure.
And his daughters went in, but they didn't affect them. I guess, you know, she just had this rash.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, that's an interesting story. What else have you ever heard about the McCoys?
I'll tell you a funny joke about them. I was babysitting at El Centro with some children, and the folks was going to the movie that night to see the McCoys, if you, the Hatfield and McCoy.
Oh, the feud?
And I said, I'll tell you something, but my family killed me, I guess. And I said, I'm related to those McCoys. So when they come back from the show, Mr. Ash said to me, Miss Wheeler, if I was related to the McCoys, I'd be proud of it, but I didn't have much to, he said, I've not got much to say about that. Hatfields. But he said that the McCoys were very industrious people. Well, I'd heard Papa say that.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. Let's for a minute, of course, your grandmother Lofton married a Williamson, in fact, Asa Williamson, just before the Civil War.
Yeah.
And they had a child, George W. Williamson, that went by the name of Bud. Married Fanny Lofton.
I knew them well.
Tell me about Bud Williamson. What do you know about him?
Well, he was a very tall man with real dark eyes and dark hair. And he was always around. He always seemed to think lots of my family. And they used to come every summer to visit us, you know. And we'd all go to the big meetings in the community. And his children were all, the ones who's up pretty good size, was all good singers. And we had lots of fun at home even, you know, singing.
Now he was married twice, was he not?
His first, yes, he was. And he had a daughter by his first wife. But I don't know whether she died before. The girl's name was Meady.
Meady was the daughter?
Yes. And when we went to live in New Mexico, when my sister Mary was we took her out there for her health.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother Roland, and Meady was living out there.
Oh.
She had married a fellow by the name of Jack Cox. We visited.
Was he related to Aunt Mary Cox?
Yes. He was one of her son's boys. I know when we got off the train, there was somebody that had known the Mama's family when they were years ago, you know. And he said that anybody in the world would know you're related to Meady Williamson. Said you look just like her. But I didn't really think so, but she had red hair, and she was a bigger built woman than my mother was.
Who told you one time that you looked just like the Pears?
I've forgotten now. It must have been my mother.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream one time, and I saw in my dream a whole bunch of people, and they had, Mama, I described them to Mama, and she told me said that was just like her people looked. And I don't know why I would have dreamed it, but she had been seriously ill, and I'd been sitting up with her quite a bit, you know. I guess that's the reason I had the dream. And I'm thinking about the doctor wasn't sure she'd ever get well.
What did these people look like?
They, in my dream, they were dark eyes and red hair. And Sister Laura's children looked quite a lot like...
Like Uncle Doug and Uncle Buddy and those?
Well, the girls more so than the boys. You know, Edith has red hair and dark eyes, and Marie does too. Well, they had, the baby one took after Mama, and she had blue eyes and red hair. But there wasn't no red-haired children in my family, my own family.
Now, let's see, Bud Williamson, his second wife was Fanny Lofton, and he married her in 1882.
Fanny Edwards.
Fanny Edwards, that's right. Well, let's see, he married, I guess the other wife was a Lofton, was she not?
I don't know about his first wife.
Okay. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is.
After she died, Meady went by Uncle Bud's name, you know. He had several children, Ivy and Fanny, and there was Boss and Albert and Jesse. There's a large family of them.
I know why I think Fanny was a Lofton, because when she married him, she used the name Lofton. But then she had been living with her stepdad, which was Albert Lofton. So that was the reason, because I've got a marriage record on them, you know. Married her in 1882.
Well, I guess she just took the name.
Took the name, yeah. Well, just like, you know, your mother was using Nancy, Roxy, Anna Lofton, but she was really a pair. So the same thing. So that's interesting, because in the actual record it calls her Fanny Lofton. Now, what do you remember about Uncle Bud Williamson's children?
Well, they were good kids, and they was raised to be good Christian children.
What religion were they?
They liked the Assembly of God, and that's the songs. They had songbooks with them, and I remember that they'd sing those songs. I thought they was very pretty.
Where did they live? Where did they live, say, in 1910?
Well, they lived near Sunset, Texas. It was a full day's drive from where they lived up to where we lived. And
were they in Montague County, Texas, or were they across the border in Oklahoma?
It was in Montague County.
So they were in
this town was Sunset. And that's about the only town I remember hearing them talk very much about. it was a small town then.
Uh-huh. Okay, now, going on from Bud Williamson, your grandmother Lofton also had a number of Lofton children, and you mentioned them. Let's start with Roland. What do you remember about Roland?
Well, he was a tall fella, and he was blue-eyed, and a very nice fella.
Mm-hmm. What color was his hair?
Kind of a blonde. It was brown, like.
Uh-huh. Slender or large?
Yes, he was tall and slender.
Uh-huh. How old
Now,
was he?
he lived in our old home that we had sold when we left Texas.
Uh-huh. Just for a minute, let's digress just a little bit. Tell me about that light that your father encountered at that home.
Well, it was a strange thing. It was early one morning. He got up, and there was a straight hall, and he went down to the kitchen to make a fire in the cook stove, wood stove.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother, it was warm and nice, and Mama just took her shoes out and sit on the front porch and was putting her shoes on. And this light just sitting out there, you know. And she hollered, "Bud, come here." And so Papa come immediately. He knew there's something a little unusual, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got there, that light, he closed his hand up and said it was all as big as his hand. And he said it just began to move at a certain angle. And he thought, well, that's somebody with a stick with a fire fixed, you know, a light fixed on it. But it never did move other than just perfectly smooth. And he said, I'm going to follow that thing. And he started out to follow it, and he said he knew it couldn't be anybody doing it because the cattle was bedded down in the road and there's lots of sand, you know. And he said that couldn't have been anybody.
Well, it spooked the cattle for one thing.
That's
just
right.
the presence of somebody out there.
And he followed it all the way up to the hog pasture was about as far from here to the shopping center out here from the house. And he said it went into that deep timber, and said he didn't try to follow it. It went right to the gate was made with slats, and they was tummies apart, you know, the one right together. And it went right through one of those openings in that gate, right on out into the timber. And he said that always puzzled him. He never would let us kids say it was a ghost or anything like that.
Did he have any idea what it might have been?
No, not at all.
Now is that in that same house in Sunset that Roland lived in?
Yes. And they said that it was a haunted house, and that we did hear odd noises there. But Papa said it was a rat. He would never let us call it a ghost or anything, but we did.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would sound just like rain just pouring down on the roof. And they kept them days barrels to catch that good soft rainwater, you know. And it just sounded like that was going right down them barrels. And go out and look, and there was nothing there. And one night, my Uncle Bud Williamson and his family was staying all night with us. And this noise, we had bedrooms in the basement. And so they heard they were sleeping in the basement. Papa, we had 2 bedrooms down there. And Papa and Mama slept in one room, and then Uncle Bud and Aunt Fanny in the other. And they heard them knock, just sound like somebody hitting the floor real slow. But it just, and so he took the lamp, and he said he said that's them kids upstairs. And so they went upstairs, and then the kids is all sound asleep, you know. And then he come back, and the noise started down below. And Papa said that he always said it was rats, but it was a well-built house. And he said it was rats that got in between the lumber or some way, you know, and when they'd go upstairs, it'd scare them, they'd go downstairs. He always made an excuse because he didn't want us kids to
think it was haunted.
Yes.
Anything but that. Was it an upstairs as well as a basement?
Yes. Now another odd thing happened. Young people went places in buggies them days, and my sister Mary was going to get married, and this fella come to get, was going up to Sunset and get married, and then have a reception at home, you know. So when he drove up, she got in the buggy, and they was ready to start, and she happened to remember that old saying, something borrowed, something blue, you know.
Yeah, something old, something new,
Yes.
something borrowed, something blue.
And she run upstairs, just pretty fast, you know, to get something that she had blue, you know. And so after she had gone, Mama, she was going to have a house looking real nice, you know. So she made a pallet down on the floor and told us kids that we mustn't touch the bed. And so while we were sitting there, we heard this, sounded exactly like Sister Mary did going up the steps, heard the sound like the trunk lid closed, and she come running back down the steps. You know, Mama looked pretty white. It kind of frightened her.
Just basically the same thing that had happened again, but she wasn't there anymore.
That's right.
What did she think it was?
Well, Papa had always insisted that it
was rats. Oh, gee. So Roland lived in that house then after you did?
Yes, our brother Ernest said one time he went up there and he asked him, said, Uncle Roland, did you still hear that ghost? He said, well, I hear them noises. He didn't want to call it a ghost either. He said, I still hear the noises, but said, I don't think it's a ghost.
That's a very interesting old story.
Yes.
Talking a little bit more about Uncle Roland, how old was he? When was he born?
I don't remember their birth dates. There was
generally, how much older than you, perhaps?
Oh, he must have been 25 years older than me.
So perhaps born about 1870s, sometime in the 1870s,
yes,
maybe.
Probably was. Now, there was two other boys, you know, Bill and Johnny, and they lived on with Grandma for quite a while before she died.
Yeah. Before we talk about them, who did Uncle Roland marry?
It seems to me like I used to remember the name, but I can't recall. I know her relative lived at Walters, where we lived in about 1928, I think. And
Was there? Let's see. No, Lula was a sister of theirs. Is that right?
yes,
Lula.
they just had one girl and the three boys.
Did Roland have any children?
Yes, he had Albert and Travis. Albert was the chair of the big hotel. Uncle Roland told me a story about that.
The coffee on the...
Yes.
Oh, well, tell it for the camera.
Well, they'd make, you know, there's a lot of rich people would stay at this hotel. And they'd make that coffee at just lunch, you know. And then they'd pour the grounds out, and Uncle Roland had a place up on top of the hotel where he would dry those grounds and put them in packages. Said he drank it as good coffee, but said they didn't serve it to the guests, the hotel guests. But his son was a good cook.
And which one was the cook? What was the name?
Albert.
Albert was the cook. Uh-huh. Is that all the children he had?
No, there was some more, but I've, little fellas, but I've forgotten their names.
Uh-huh.
I never was around them too much. They'd come every so often. They had a girl, I can't even, Maria, I believe was her name. And she would come with them when they'd come up to visit us in the summer. She was a good singer too.
Uh-huh.
And they'd bring the guitar along, and she could play the guitar and sing. We'd all sing.
Sounds like our family getting together, doesn't it? Okay, let's talk about Johnny and Billy. Let's talk about John. Who was older, Billy or Johnny Lofton?
Bill was the oldest.
Okay, let's talk about him first then. What do you remember about him? What did he look like?
Well, he was tall, too, but Johnny was kind of short like Grandma was. And I didn't, now I'd see them, and they'd come to visit us, and we'd go to visit them once in a while, but Papa had the big ranch, you know, lots of cattle and everything, and Mama never did get to visit very much on account of so much, she had a large family too, you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And, but Johnny was a very peculiar boy. He a hard worker, and they would pick cotton those days, and they'd make their own crop, you know, and they'd gather that, and then he'd go out and pick for other people. And he was, you might call him a naturalist. He liked to study nature, and he said that he had had some of the most interesting experiences just meeting people as he traveled, and he said he could say he never met a man on these travels that he would say was a bad person. It was just always kind and good, you know. And if he made a lot of money, and sometimes he'd just to ask them if they had anything he could do to. He would never bum. He wasn't no bum at all. But he would ask if there's something he could do to pay for his meal, you know. And a lot of times he'd chop wood and just get acquainted with the people and move on, you know. Maybe he might get a job and work for him a while.
Did he marry that you're aware of?
Did he? No, him or Bill, either one did never marry. Now, Uncle Bill, my grandmother loved music, and he could play the violin real good. And he loved her so much that a few times he took his violin and went out to the cemetery and played some of her favorite songs that she liked there. Just be lonesome, you know.
Yeah. When did she die?
I can't remember what year.
About? How old were you?
Well, I must have been about 10 years old when she died.
So maybe about 1905.
Yes.
Where did she die?
In Texas. I don't know just for the town, but it must have been near Sunset because all of them lived close together. Now that was in Montague County.
Yeah, I've been into Montague County. That's where Emma Leonard was down in, wasn't that the same area?
Well, they lived in Nocona.
Nocona.
The Leonards.
Yeah, what county is that in?
I really don't know what the county.
I was thinking it was in Montague, but I might be wrong.
Well, it could be in Montague.
Farther south, though, quite a bit. They're not real. Sunset and Nocona aren't that close.
No, I think that Sunset's on farther south.
Yeah. But I
Now
can't
that's
remember for
where
sure.
my best memory is Sunset, and Papa turned this place over to Uncle Roland, you know, And we left there and come to Oklahoma. And I remember we stayed one night in the schoolhouse. Pretty soon, Papa went out and went to looking for a place and bought a home. But we stayed in that schoolhouse for 2 or 3 days. And then he found a place that we left the schoolhouse and went to this small house. But we didn't unpack the covered wagon. We moved in covered wagon. And we didn't unpack everything, just what we had to have, you know, until he went over and bought this place that we lived for years. And that was near Loco and Dixie. You heard it.
Yeah, Dixie's in Jefferson County, and Loco's in Stevens County.
Cornish and Ringland wasn't very far away, and Comanche, but just about a half a day's drive in a wagon. Men used to go once or twice a month and bring a wagon load of groceries, you know, maybe 2 or 3 men and go in one wagon, and it would take about a half a day.
Is there anything else either about Johnny or Billy Lofton you want that might be helpful to help me locate them?
I do remember Johnny better than any of the family, because I'd love to hear him tell his experiences and the stories that he experienced, you know, in traveling around. And he was at our place when I went to get married, and I was always independent and wanted to make have my own money. So I picked up pecans, and so I had accumulated enough to buy my wedding clothes myself, without having to ask my family for them, you know. And Johnny said to me, I'm going to give you some money. And I said, well, I've got enough money to buy. I didn't have very much, but I had. But he gave me $20 to pay on my wedding dress.
Oh, that's very nice of him.
Yes, I hired a dressmaker to make my dress with the money he gave me.
I bet that was in those days, $20 would be quite a bit.
Yes, it was.
That'd be some nice dress.
Yes, I got a lovely dress. Hired it made. Stayed there in Morrica.
Yeah, I've been up into that courthouse up there, where you were married in the courthouse, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. You've been up there too, haven't you, Renee?
Yeah.
In fact, I got a copy of your marriage certificate up there.
Did you? Well, I have a copy of it.
This is just, you know, a copy that they go into the records and they write it out.
I don't know. We went back there a long time after that monthly. We drove to Denton County to the family reunion, and we come back up visit Brother Clarence. And Mom went down to the courthouse, and he got a copy of our license, you know. But the old courthouse burned down.
Oh, so this is a new courthouse I've been in.
Yes.
This was upstairs in downtown.
Well, we had to go upstairs to get married. Gilbert Benton, you heard him talk about Aunt Ola.
Oh, yeah.
Well, her father, they always, him and her, oh, they're good people. And I used to stay with him quite a bit, and he was a county clerk then. And so he found out I was going to be married that night, you know. So he stayed late to be there in the courthouse when we got married. But our witnesses was Josh Wheeler and Grover Huffer. Grover Huffer was one of mine's real close friends and lived at Addington, Oklahoma.
The next thing I'd like to talk about are some relatives we've never been able to place. First of all, tell me about the relatives who went down to South America.
Well, I don't know very much about him, but Papa was reading that he always took the, what they call Dallas Semi-Weekly News.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when Elder Hess come into our lives.
Uh-huh.
And so Papa was reading the newspaper one day, and he saw her. Now, the only ones I remember, their name was, one family was named McClellan. It was just the men that went down there in the colony.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said to Elder Hess that I said, that's my wife's relatives. And said that Elder Hess wrote a beautiful hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Papa said, how about you writing a letter and let's see if we can contact them.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave the address in the newspaper. And Elder Hess did. And Papa corresponded with him a long time ago. I remember one thing that they wrote about was, it was a place where a man, if he had the proper tools, that he could really make good there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said described a stalk of cotton down there, and he said it looked almost like a tree,
Mm-hmm.
and was loaded from top to bottom with cotton. You know, I remember that in a letter.
Was it Bolivia, or do you remember exactly where it was?
Yes, and the best I remember, that was a place where, in this colony then, was Bill Murray.
Former governor of Oklahoma.
Yes, he eventually became governor, but he was young then.
Oh, it was later that he became governor.
Oh, yes.
With the big hats and the
Yes.
scarves and the.
Yes. Papa liked it.
I understand he was a real character.
Yes, he was.
Okay, the McClellans, did you ever have any knowledge of any others of the McClellans anywhere other than just that?
Only in Texas one time, Boss Williamson and, let's see, it was Walker.
Uh-huh.
They went down to Laura, and her family was living near Wichita Falls, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And Boss and Walter went down to visit them, and they decided to go out and find a job and help make hay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they was baling this hay, and Walter got sick, took the typhoid fever.
Mm.
And so they was working for some people by the name of McClellan, and it turned out that they were related. They were very good to him and took good care of him until Papa and Mama could go down and get him and bring him back home, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he almost died.
Yeah, typhoid was killing people
Yes.
most of the time when they got it. May I have a drink of cold water?
Sure, it was in the refrigerator.
Renee, so that we don't interrupt this, would you be so kind? She's so precious and special.
Oh, no, she is.
I am lucky to have a wife like that.
Yes, you are.
Let's talk about the Bulls.
Well, the only one of them that I ever knew was Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Gould.
Where did he live?
Well, he lived between where we lived, near Ringland, Oklahoma, and Ardmore.
Mm-hmm.
And Papa said one time I was going with him in the buggy, and he said we'd drive as far as Jesse Gould's place, so that he was related to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I never did understand, you know, being a kid, I didn't try to find out anything about it. But just him and his wife lived in this little two-room house, little log house. But it was the neatest thing you ever saw.
What year was that?
Oh, that must have been about 1906.
1906. But was he related to your father or to your mother? Your father.
Papa.
Uh-huh. But you don't know how.
No.
Must have come off, I'll bet it would come off the Harrells. I'll bet it almost
I
anything.
think so.
Uh-huh.
I know they were so glad to see each other. I remember they said that when they met, that they had hoped to meet again, but they didn't know whether they would not. And Papa, that's how come that Papa just decided we'd go there. And we stayed all night with them, and they had a daughter that was kind of an old maid, you might say. And she had a whole box of little, I don't know whether you've seen the little cards they used to put out at Sunday school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with little verses and that?
Yes.
Yeah.
She gave me a whole box full that she had. And I thought I just had a wonderful time. Hated to leave them, such sweet people.
Uh-huh.
So that was the only time, though, that I ever seen them.
Let's see.
She looks like I did when I was her age. I was curly-headed.
Uh-huh. And I was too.
Yes.
Is there anybody else that your family said that you were related to that you just to this day don't know how?
And what are these people's names that live out in Amarillo, Texas? The Harrells.
The Harrells?
I was always curious about them. I remember this one of them his name was Silas, but they called him Si.
Uh-huh.
And at one time the three brothers met. The two that lived out, one lived somewhere there in Texas, but the other one was a banker and was well-to-do, the other two.
Uh-huh.
Well, they had inherited the money, quite a bit when their father died. And so Si had preferred living on a farm, and the other two boys wanted to go to the city and try to do something different. I don't know what one of them did, but the other one was a banker there in Amarillo.
Yeah. Yeah. The only people they could be is Andrew Jackson Harrell's sons. Because
I've always wondered about how they were related. I've heard Papa talk quite a bit about them.
Yeah, has to be Andrew Jackson Harrell's sons, and I'll tell you why. Your father's mother, Nancy Jane Summers, married a Harrell, a man by the name of Isaac Harrell. And they had a family of about 6 children, and then he died in 1839. And of course your grandfather, Thomas Jefferson Forsythe, he also had a family, and his wife had died. Mary, her name was Betsy Morris.
Yes.
And of course that's Mary Cox's mother and Emmeline Forsythe's mother. And so he married Nancy Jane Harrell, who was the widow of Isaac Harrell. And they had one son, Andrew Jackson Harrell, which is why I know it has to be his grandkids.
Yes.
And the rest were daughters. There was a Nancy and a Sarah. That's where the Adamses come in, and
yes.
There was some Williamses. Well, Aunt Lou.
Aunt Lou married
There was Hunts.
Adams was her first husband.
Yeah.
And Hunt.
Yeah,
But
and she
she's
married a
married
Williams.
3 times because her last name was Williams.
Yeah, she married a Williams. She married a
I've
Hunt.
been to her home.
Yeah. And, but anyway, I'm sure that's whose kids they had to be, because I just don't think they could be grandsons of, but anyway, they have to be in his line. One of these days, what year was that they met there in Amarillo? Do you have any idea?
No, it was, I don't think I was even born when it was something Papa talked about, and I remember.
One was named Silas. Do you remember the names of the others?
No, I don't. I remember Papa said Silas, he always called him Silas. He said they all had a good visit together, but he said his interest was in farming and
Yeah.
raising cattle and everything. And he said that they were so well-to-do and had nice carriages to go in, you know.
Uh-huh.
Said he kind of felt a little out of place, but said they did have a wonderful visit.
Mhm.
But he just told Papa that they were so much better fixed than he was. He kind of felt out of place.
Uh-huh.
But he said he had a wonderful time with them.
Anybody else that you're related to that you just never were quite sure about?
I can't recall.
You ran into a McMakin one time up in...
At Walter's,
yeah.
Oklahoma.
Tell me about that.
Well, they just lived there in the community. He was a farmer, and seemed like a very nice man. I didn't like his wife as well as I did him.
Uh-huh.
He was a real friendly type, and she was not easy to get acquainted with. And then, but he come over and visited us several times. She'd come a couple of times, but I just preferred his type of person more than I did her.
Did he ever say anything about being related to you?
Oh, yes.
So he knew he was related to you?
Oh, yes.
Did he ever explain to you how, or?
No, but when when Uncle Roland's wife had come up to visit us, she would always go up there and, no, now the McMakins was on the Wheeler side.
Uh-huh.
She had a brother, though, living there at Walter. Fine people.
Uh-huh.
That was, but I can't remember what her last name was.
Uh-huh.
But they lived there. The McMakins lived near the schoolhouse. I know when they'd have entertainment over at the schoolhouse, they'd always be there, you know. And this is, people would be too.
Uh-huh. Did you ever know any of James and Sarah Williams's family? They were Wheelers, of course.
Name Williams?
Uh-huh.
No, the only Williams that I can remember was Aunt Jackie, you know.
Yeah, George
All of that.
and his family, yeah.
Well,
your dad was married to a Williams, his first
yes,
wife, of course.
George and Aunt Jackie married brother and sister. Oh, we did meet another Williams that was related, and when we went out, it was moving out to New Mexico. We was going on the train, and some way they got word for this. I think her name was.
Oh, is this Lycurgus
Sarah.
Williams' family?
This one.
Lycurgus Williams' family?
I don't remember the last search, but she had a son named Charlie, and he had, and then there was another Williams that lived there, and it was Jasper and Charlie that come to down where we lived, and they brought what them days they called a magic lantern. And it threw the pictures up on the wall, and you didn't see too many of them days of that, you know.
Uh-huh.
And that to me was just really something. And they found out that everybody was interested in them. They got to having shows on weekends.
Were they related?
Yes, they were cousins.
Yeah, because,
it was the first old Victrola I ever saw.
Yeah.
It was the kind that where they used to have the picture of a dog on there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I just love to listen to that music. They'd play the music along with the pictures, you know.
Yeah. Dog's name was Victor. That
And
was the name of that dog.
one song I remember that I thought was so pretty, it was I'll Come Back to You When the Hawthorn Blooms Again.
Yeah, you're related to Williams in several ways. You're related to Williams off the Harrells.
Yeah.
One of let's see, one of the Harrell girls married into some Williamses. That was the Lycurgus G. Williams. That was up around Sunset and up in that area too, by the way.
Yeah.
And then of course Aunt Jackie and your dad both married Williamses, who were brother and sister.
Yeah.
And then on the Wheelers there's Williamses too. So.
The Aunt Jackie's family was, she had a large family, about 10 children.
Yeah, no. In fact, I believe 12.
I can.
Yeah. Georgia would be the youngest. Well, I
no,
can't.
Raymond was.
Raymond, that's right. Raymond was. Yeah, and then Georgia.
And then Georgia and Willie and Allie. Allie was burned to death.
Oh, that's too bad.
She had married and moved out in West Texas, and they was raising chickens, and they had an incubator down in the storm house, you know. It was cool down there, and that's where they kept it. And she was down with a housecoat on, made out of flannel, and she stooped over that incubator to adjust the light, and it flamed all over that coat, the housecoat, and burned her till she died. She tried to run, you know, but she ran out and got in the wind, you know, and that just made the...
Oh, yeah, it makes it go, yeah. In fact, they teach kids today, stop, drop, and roll.
Yes, that's what they said if she just have thought and grabbed something wrapped it around her, you know, it might have saved her. But being there at the place by herself, her father-in-law saw it happening, and he come running, but it was too late to save her. And strangely, her sister in Oklahoma had a premonition that something was happening to her, and seen her a fire around her. She said that always would go with her to her grave, she guessed.
Yeah, I imagine so, yeah. Now, is there sometimes in genealogy you find stories, you can't pin down who they're about, but they're stories that you remember hearing about some relative. Anything interesting like that?
Well, no, I wasn't around enough to really remember.
Diane, could you go stand over next to Grandma for a minute?
She can come sit right here.
Have you got Diane on the film?
That would be.
Diane's 6. What can you remember about your life when you were Diane's age? Anything?
Just running and playing, and I was always ready to go everywhere Papa went. If there's a possible chance. We all had her in it too.
Well, after we have Diane, we'll have Rachel get in it too. Who were some of your friends when you were 6?
Well, when I first started to school, my best friend was Annie Morrow, Willis Sellers. She married later years. My cousin, Lon Burton, was married to my cousin Emmy.
Yeah, I'm a Burton.
She was Williams.
Yeah, I know.
And so we all went to school together. And another one, Dalma Johnson. And Lizzie Gray. And I had wonderful times because I was always ready to play.
Where were you living when you were 6? That'd be 1901.
Well, we was living on the ranch that we had there near Dixon Local.
What advice can you give to a 6-year-old?
Well, to grow up to be real good girls, and they are. They already are. I'm awful proud of my grandchildren. I really enjoyed the day we was all up at Glenn's, you know.
My back was killing me that day,
Well,
but I couldn't stay home. I had to go.
I enjoyed the children so much. They were running and playing and having. I know I heard the Fred's little boy.
Uh-huh.
He was telling Jed a little story about his dad. You know,
Uh-huh.
he said one day I was watching television and said, Dad told me to do something and I didn't do it. And said he come in. He said, didn't you do so and so? You know, and he said to his daddy, hush, hush, and said that his dad, don't you say hush, hush to me.
Uh-huh.
And he was so cute, just telling Jed about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Jed says, I always do what my daddy said to.
Uh-huh.
They were so cute.
Yeah, kids are so cute. Okay, Diane, if you want to step away, we want Richie to go stand over next to
Come
Grace.
have your picture made
Grandma.
too?
Hon, will you go sit?
Come in, I'll let you sit right up here. Yeah, Grandma wants your picture. Come in.
If Mommy will go with her, she will go, I'm sure.
Yeah, she'll. She can come and have her picture made with Grandma. Grandma wants a picture that pretty.
Now, Rachel, right there, that's a camera, and it's taking a picture of you and Grandma. Is Rachel in that picture? Oh,
There was
good.
a pretty little girl living right across the street. Just moved away, and I sure did miss her.
Uh-huh. What do you remember from the time that you were her age? Just about 3.
We at that time was living in Sunset, Texas,
Uh-huh.
in the big old house, you know.
1898 it would be.
Well, and now I can remember things. I had a sister that was a little younger than me, Lily.
Uh-huh. Didn't
And-
live very long, did she?
No.
That's about when she was born, wasn't it?
Yeah, she was born there in
Uh-huh.
Sunset.
About what year?
Well, it must have been, I must have been about 4 years old or 5. That'd been 1890. I was born in 1895,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have been 19.
It was right around 1900.
Yeah. And I can remember quite a few things about that house.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main thing was I was always interested in any book or anything that anybody had to tell. And the kids all calling this a haunted house. I remember a lot about that.
Uh-huh.
Just,
I guess being that age, it really would make an impression.
oh, yes. And one time, Papa and Mama had, they could laugh about it. Mama, it was just, I'd done something that I needed scolding for. And Mama grabbed hold of me and kind of shook me. And we were standing right close to this stairway that went down in the basement, you know. And I thought she was going to take me down that basement, and I screamed, you know. And I went running just as hard as I could to outrun her. And Papa, the men was working up at the hog pasture. And here Mama was running after me, you know. As soon as when I got to Papa, he picked me up and set me on a big high fence and was laughing about it.
Uh-huh.
Me outrunning Mama, you know.
Uh-huh. I guess when you're scared enough, you can do anything. You talk about people lifting up automobiles, not
Yeah.
realizing it.
Well, one time Arnold was a baby, and we had a little box with a rope tied to it, and we was pulling him in that box.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an old tree between our house and one of our tenants' homes.
Where were you then?
That was at this same.
Oh, in Sunset.
No.
Oh, you're talking. We're talking later.
Later years.
Loco or
Yes, Loco and Dixie.
Nixie.
And this limb had been hanging up there on the tree for a long time. It was, they'd spoke about it being a little dangerous. Well, there come a puff of wind, and this old limb just just happened to split off from the tree and fell on Arnold. And him in that little box. And as little now as Laura was, she run and lifted that, and I jerked him out. And the neighbor men said that it was just a miracle that she could even lift that. It almost took a man to do it.
But under stress, people do that sort of thing. No.
She still, we laughed about that and talked about her down there visiting.
How is she doing?
Oh, very poor.
Oh, not doing any better.
No, she can't even come to the table now. They have to put her in the wheelchair and push her in. And Marie and her son-in-law lives there with them. Every time they say anything about leaving them, Edith and Laura both, they talked about going, they have their home at Place there, you know. And every time they talk about going, Edith and Laura both begged them to stay.
I understand Edith's not doing well at all either.
Well, Edith's not doing so bad. It's
who was
Marie's
it?
almost blind.
Oh. Okay.
And Shorty is just about gone. I think that's one reason that his mother and father, I don't know about his father, but his brother's buried there. And I think that he thinks that he may pass on, you know, and be buried there. I talked to him on the phone one day, and he told me he was very low that day.
That Laura must be about 95.
She's in her 60s. And the most patient person I've ever seen. We got to talking about old times that day and got to singing some of the old songs that we used to sing when we were kids. And recalling a lot of the old things that happened back in the days, you know. I remember some things that happened better than she did. She, you know, she got married and began raising a family, and she didn't remember things like I did.
Well, it was a shock to learn that Elder Hess had passed.
Yes, it sure was.
You know, I must have called him on the phone just days before that happened.
Oh, she got it. Did he hurt? I don't think it did.
No, I don't think so. Yes, she got it when she got out.
I must have called him just days before he passed.
Well,
I'm just waiting to get that phone bill to just see just how close it was, because he passed on the 19th.
was his
Of
voice normal?
No. In fact, he was telling me that it was because of the stroke he'd had, and I mentioned it to Renee at the time, that his speech was quite slurred.
Wow.
I'm sure it was just before he passed, but I won't know until we get that phone bill.
Did he die at his home or?
I think he did. In fact, I know he did.
Cheryl read the letter to me over the phone. But
He was a good man. He was a good friend.
yes.
Did you attend that baptism when your mother was baptized?
No.
You weren't there?
I lived in right about 2 miles north of him.
This is the year after you got married. You got married in 1915. She was baptized in 1916.
Yes. I was down, I never did see Elder Hess very much. I'd go down to Papa, Steve, they'd go on their mission and maybe be gone a week or two. And then when they come back by, a lot of times they'd come by Papa's place. And I remember I was down there a couple of times when they was, one time when there's him and Elder, it was either Black or Archibald, I can't forget. I remember. And then Mom and Papa was coming up to my house the next Sunday, and Monday invited them to come. And there's the first guest that I've ever prepared a meal for after I got married.
Well, is there anything else that you think might be an important thing that we should preserve as part of our family heritage?
nothing except there was a lot, a lot of kindness and love in our family. We loved each other, and people, I really think it's nice for this large family because we all loved each other and had good times together, you know. And I remember that back in those days, on Sundays they took turns about meeting at first one house and the other, and they had organs instead of pianos then. And so lots of Sundays they'd be at our place, maybe 15 or 20 of the neighbors and friends, you know, and sing and just be together.
Now you met Grandpa at an all-day singing thing, didn't you?
Well, I met him at a Cloudcroft schoolhouse that was in the community. There was a minister that told me that he was teasing little May and me, and said if we strangers in that community, you know, he said if we'd come to church Sunday, he'd introduce us to our future husband. And we told him we'd be there. We was looking for him. And he really did introduce me to Mom.
Well, did he introduce her to Luther Krapp?
No.
No?
No, she didn't meet her, the one she married. She met him later on.
Isn't that who she married? Luther Krapp?
Luther Krapp.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I can't remember. I told you about having a little May's family lived there near us after she got married, you know. And I had a letter from her daughter the other day.
Oh, did you?
Ola May. And they was been up. Betty's husband, that's little May's youngest girl, was a fireman for 25 years there in Phoenix. And they finally, he retired and bought him a boat, and they go up close to Flagstaff where Marie and her husband lives, you know. And they fish 2 weeks and go out on this boat and just catch all the fish they want. And then they go back to their home in Phoenix and get everything straightened up and read the mail, answer the letters and everything, you know. Then they go back up in the mountains and stay and fish. They sure enjoy themselves.
Sounds like fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and turn this off. Anything else?
Well, I can't think of anything special. I might tell you that when I was a little girl, we used to drive the buggy and go across a big creek called Mud Creek. And my mother would braid my hair, and when everybody always told me they liked me better with curls. And when we get over to this Mud Creek, we'd stop the buggy and Laura would take my hair down and wear it school curls. Then in the afternoon when we got back to the same place, she'd braid it.
Braid it up again.
And I always enjoyed going to school at local. I met so many of the kids, you know. It was just like home.
Well, thank you, Grandmother. I really appreciate you taking this time to just kind of let us kind of wander down memory lane, as it were.
I wish I knew more to tell you, but you know, going through life, you have so many different things happening.
I know. In fact, with all I've written, I haven't written anything about my own life history. I've written everybody else's.
You ought to.
Yeah. I'm going to die, and my kids are going to say, well, he was a tall man and heavy.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't remember. Well, I'm gonna sit over here. look at that, but I'll talk to you from here,
Okay.
if that's okay. Okay, today is, what is it, the 12th of July? The 13th of July, 1987, and we've just minutes ago turned off the camera from interviewing my grandmother, and now we have the camera on my Uncle Leonard Hess Wheeler. And where were you born, Uncle Hess?
I was born
Warwick.
Warwick, Oklahoma. However, my my birth certificate says that I'm born on a different date than my family says I was, and it's